Are we going to see what we look like? Here we are.
We are live. You think we're live? I know we're live.
Hey, guys. And if you are watching the replay, welcome. We are so glad that we have the option of posting it and hanging out with you guys after the fact. So welcome if you're here for watching us after the fact.
Yeah, everybody who is tuning in just now, like we said, we're doing a live stream, and we're going to talk about some of the dangers of being a healthcare advocate. And we say that kind of tongue-in-cheek because being a healthcare advocate is a very good thing. But we got thrown into this world, and there's been some things we've learned along the way, and we thought we'd talk about some of those.
Yeah, and so specifically we're going to be talking about kind of the social media aspect of being I kind of think of it as like a public healthcare advocate. Yeah. So I don't want to say like public health advocate because that's actually a thing, but this is like
public healthcare advocate.
Having your personal health care out in the open for the purpose of being an advocate for patients of all sorts of chronic illnesses. I think that the title could be quite long, but we just summed it up as the dangers of being a healthcare advocate or a health advocate.
We know that many of the people who tune into our videos every day, if you're new around here, we make new vlogs every day, kind of chronicling what life looks like for us, and that those videos are everything from our travels to the fun we have as a family. But a lot of the emphasis that we give is raising awareness of what Mary's daily struggle of cystic fibrosis looks like.
Right. And throughout the years, we've kind of tweaked the balance of how much of, I say normal life, how much of health and how much of non-health that we show. And sometimes we don't have a choice how much we show. If our entire day is at the hospital doing procedures, that's obviously what we're going to show. But on days when we're at home, there's always a topic we could discuss, kind of like this. You know, we're going to sit down and discuss a health topic. But there's also other non-health related things about our life, like taking care of the flowers and cleaning out the basement. So we kind of think about how much of this are we going to show. And throughout the years, we've seen that the majority of our audience is mostly interested in health-related topics. So we do try to leverage that interest so that we can bring awareness to cystic fibrosis, bring awareness to chronic illness, invisible illnesses, the real life of somebody battling a terminal illness, and also show who we are in the midst of that.
Yeah.
That we are still a fun-loving young couple, family who has adventures. And
I think one of the,
do we need to tweet?
Challenges, we do.
Okay.
I don't know how to tweet.
Okay, I'll take care of that. He said before we started, I'll tweet while you start the opening. And I was thinking, really?
And we should probably share it on Facebook, too. Let people know we're live.
Okay.
So one of the challenges that arises from, and this is from daily vlogging in general, from making your life public on the internet, there's that challenge of how much self-disclosure do you have? Like, how much do you share? And for Mary and I, when we started sharing the cystic fibrosis aspects of our journey, we decided early on that there were certain details that we weren't going to share. We wanted to give big picture stuff. We wanted to show what everyday life looks like and some of the struggles, and we didn't want to go into the details of medications or test results or different things. We wanted to kind of keep our videos zoomed out. And obviously, along the journey, there's the danger of people feeling like you're keeping things from us, or like you're not sharing the whole picture. And it's true, like, we want to show what we want to show, and part of that's our privacy, and part of that is our what we want to accomplish. Because at the end of the day, our goal isn't to give a whole representation of our lives. It, in many ways, like that's what daily vlogging is to give like a snapshot. But we have a narrative that we're telling. We have a story that we're telling every day, and we hope to, spread positivity, spread hope that there's more to this world than the brokenness and pain that you sometimes feel. And
right.
we try to, like, so in that, like, we're that's part of our goal. That is part of what parts of our day we show and how we show it. And I guess I'm going on a rabbit trail here,
Yeah.
but what would you say the danger is there?
Well, okay, so there's also, I'm going to go off of what you just said about when we show, what we show. There's also the realistic limitation of when we show, what we show. When we are in the hospital, if a healthcare worker is in the room who doesn't want to be on video or isn't allowed to be on video, then clearly we aren't going to vlog right then. So when they leave the room, we recap what just happened. Other times we've tried to film, like when I was down in interventional radiology, and I was like, babe, can you film? And he gets the camera out and we get yelled at. And like, there's those realistic things, but
Yeah.
but then when we're at home, there's the realistic things of like, when I'm waking up in the morning, it's like we do pick up the camera occasionally just so that, because we want to show people like, this is what CF lungs look and sound like in the morning, and it's not pretty. But that's not what I want to watch when I rewatch our videos, so we don't want to show that all the time. We want to give a glimpse so that we can give
a
real life view.
Yeah.
But it's always going to be limited. It's always, there's, like Peter was saying, I think that this was really important what you said was, we aren't giving a whole picture, and it's the same as anybody on social media or anybody on their Facebook page. You are giving your friends and your family, your long-distance friends from college, your whatever, your pals you met at camp, you're giving them a snapshot of a snapshot of your life. Like, here's something exciting I did. I went down this cool waterfall. Oh, here's whatever. But you're not showing them, like, I also had a really rough day that day emotionally. Or, so, I don't know. We try to give in the vlogs. And you'll notice some of our videos are more, like, serious, health-focused, or processing life-focused. And others are really silly, and we're wearing mouth guards, and we're laughing, and we're drooling. Like, I guess that is the snapshot of who we are. We are totally battling a terminal illness every single day. I'm coughing my brains out. There is mucus involved. It is not pretty. All of those things. We are on the phone with insurance. We are on the phone with delivery companies, etc. There's that part of us. There's also the online business that we run. There's also the videos that we edit. There's also the church that Peter's a pastor of. There's also the basement that we're cleaning. There are so many things, and we can't possibly pick up the camera at every point. Yeah. So each day, that is a challenge just in like vlogging.
So I think the danger is that when you become a public health care advocate, is that there's the assumption that you will give the whole picture, or that what you're doing is, and so when you don't show the whole picture, people are confused or upset or whatever, and I think that it's perhaps we need to step back and say, okay, what is our role as a healthcare advocate? And Mary and I do this. We step back and we say, all right, what's our purpose? Why are we making these videos every day? And so then how do we make these videos even better? How do we communicate and spread the message? And one of the things that is a danger is the comparison thing.
So this, in my opinion, is the scariest, most dangerous, the hardest part about being public with one's health. And I mentioned this in a vlog a few days ago. I said, I hesitate to share this because
When you were talking about some
coughing up blood, I think.
Yeah.
Because there are treatment decisions that vary between patients, between healthcare, between doctors within the same practice. And so when I share my experience, I never want other patients, specifically CF patients, but also this would apply to anybody dealing with anything health related. If I say I'm coughing up blood, but it's no big deal, if you cough up blood and you don't have CF, it is a big deal. You should run to the hospital.
Yeah.
But don't be too worried. Like that whole back and forth.
And that's something that I say this all the time, I'm kind of behind the camera, and sometimes we say it on the camera, is that our vlogs and our videos and what we do as healthcare advocates is not to prescribe anything. It's not prescribing what cystic fibrosis treatment is supposed to look like. It's not prescribing how to treat symptoms that Mary experiences. We're simply describing our journey.
Yeah.
And that's an important distinction. I think if you're someone who watches other healthcare vloggers, follow health advocates on Instagram or wherever it is, it's an important thing to remember that healthcare is personalized, and it needs to be, and because each person has unique background, and I experienced this in church ministry or in just relational ministry. When you have somebody who you have conflict with somebody, there's baggage that each person uniquely has.
Yes.
That has to be dealt with differently. There's not a one size fixes all Band-Aid, and that is something that sometimes we get criticized on the internet or wherever about that's not a representation of cystic fibrosis. Well, yeah, you're kind of right. That criticism is kind of right, because it's a representation of Mary's journey and our journey and how we do it as a team, and we don't think that how we approach CF or healthcare in general should be perceived as how it should be done.
Right. It's not. And that is, I think, the benefit and the downfall to Instagram, to any public display of health.
And this probably translates to areas outside of health.
I think you might be right.
Yeah.
I think that this might translate to the broader topic of the dangers of social media.
Yeah.
Because I've been, some of the people I follow on Instagram will drop off the face of the planet and then come back a month later and be like, hey, I had to delete Instagram because I realized the danger was I was watching the Instagram stories and I was comparing myself to all those other moms or whatever the scenario is. And I think being self-aware, am I comparing my life, my health, my family, my job, whatever it is, to the people I see on the internet? And if that's the case, you should delete it. That's just not healthy. And so for healthcare, it's beneficial to see other people's experiences because it helps us think bigger, okay, I'm having such and such a symptom. Has anybody else had that? Or what has been helpful for you? Or my headaches, hearing people's perspectives on that. And I'll get an email about hey, I just wanted to let you know I have headaches too. This is what I have. So then I go and search that thing and I will read the symptoms and I'll be I see why they sent it to me, but it's not what I have, and that's okay. But anyway, there's benefits because you can brainstorm with other people who have similar things, but the danger is that, a couple things come to mind. One is IVIG. I'm on IVIG. I had some weird blood tests, and my doctors saw those blood tests, sent me to the immunologist, and the immunologist took those blood tests and thought, how can we think outside the box here? Cystic fibrosis, you wouldn't automatically put on IVIG, but in this case, is it worth a try? And here we are 2 years later, and it was worth a try. And for me, that worked. I'm curious in 10 years from now if IVIG will be a more common cystic fibrosis treatment, but it's not like I'm making a video saying, if you have CF, go ask your doctor about IVIG. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, that's one of the things I hesitate to, like, share my story about, because I know that everybody's different. I know that, like Peter was saying, it's not one size fits all. And so because of that, you know, we don't share some medication names because it's not like a common CF thing.
Or like, we just weigh out, like, would this be beneficial,
Right.
or does this just itch or scratch people's itch of curiosity? And like, and that is what we have to continually balance. So that is like the caution we have on the being a healthcare advocate and sharing health details on the internet. But at the end of the day, like, I think we could probably title this video The Dangers of Watching Healthcare Advocates. Like, here, we should change our title to The Danger of Watching the Frey Life.
Why not to watch the Frey Life?
Because, and this is something that we try to show, like, how mundane our lives are, but, like, and we try to show just reality, but at the end of the day, we don't ever want our videos or what we do on the internet to be, like, a source of people being, number one, like, discontent with their lives or their treatments or whatever. Like, we just want to, at the end of the day, like, our big hope is that we can just encourage people to find joy, to discover that there's more than sickness and the challenges of healthcare, that there can be more. And I think that in itself is something that we would like to prescribe with our videos.
And maybe I was just thinking, like, so you and I were talking about, disclaimer, this is not a prescription, this is just us sharing our story. Maybe that should be like an asterisk on every single vlog. Like, this disclaimer comes up at the beginning. It's like, better together, wah, wah, disclaimer. Like,
I like it.
It's just, okay, but boil it all down. Yes, there are dangers. There are dangers that people will think what they're going to think. They're going to draw the conclusions they're going to draw. But the benefits of sharing outweigh those dangers.
Yeah.
And so we do our very best to communicate, as I say communicate, I can't say it. Communicate as clearly as possible. Like, we're simply sharing our story. Please talk to your own doctors about what's a good plan for your health. What works for me isn't going to work for everybody, and what worked for you might not work for me. There are so many reasons beyond what we can share about why we choose some treatments and not others, etc. Like, I don't know what I was saying. We try to clearly communicate. But, like, I guess on days where I'm like I have these mini crises, like, I don't know if we should vlog and all this. Then I sit down and I think about the emails we get from you guys, or the interactions we've had, or the real life friends that we've made out of meeting people on the internet. And I think there is good coming from this. And when I get an email, there's a few messages I hear from you guys that really keep me going. I started doing my medicines because I saw that you do them, and you helped me realize why they're important. That, to me, is a huge compliment. Yeah. Like, that's
amazing.
Oh, that makes me like...
I think I remember one of those first messages that we got, that, you know, somebody started taking their treatments more seriously, and I was just, like, taken back. Like, really? Like, us just sharing our story on the internet could inspire somebody to that degree? Like, I was overwhelmed by that reality. And so, if you're someone who has healthcare stuff that you battle on a daily basis, or I mean, even everyone has a story, and this is something that we hope that people can take away, is that like your story, whatever it looks like, no matter how like non-momentous it may seem to you, like your story can encourage somebody, and it is. I just hope that we can communicate that yes, there are dangers of being an advocate on the internet, but there are tremendous joys to sharing your story and encouraging someone else.
And Peter preached a message. When was that? The Share Your Story one?
Oh.
That was before we started vlogging.
Yeah.
It was the summer before Scotland, so probably a month before Scotland. We had the vlogging camera, but we didn't start vlogging yet. And Peter was preaching a sermon about the fact that God can use your story. And one of the practical applications was share your story. And that might mean when you run into somebody in Target or the grocery store and they see your IV or your feeding tube and they're like, oh, what's that? And then you can share your story and you can be like, well, that's what it is. And they'll be like, oh, why are you still happy? And then you can share your story.
Yeah.
Might be as simple as that, which that can be a challenge, but it could be as small as that, or it could be as big as starting a blog or whatever.
Yeah.
And our practical application of that was, we're going to do this scary thing called making videos. And we did. And I'm thankful we did. I was scared because I was afraid we were going to make this commitment and not stick with it. But we stuck with it.
Boom.
Almost 4 years.
Yeah.
Next month.
Next month. Wow.
I think.
2014. That seems like decades ago. It was only 4 years ago.
It's crazy. I was looking through pictures on my phone last night, actually on Instagram, of just from 2 years ago, and that feels like a long time ago.
Yeah. Oh, so much has happened in life.
The picture of us in the moving truck.
Yeah.
We had a bunch of our stuff in Maryland.
That was like two years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we moved up here in the moving truck.
To Massachusetts.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But thank you.
We looked young in that picture, I feel like.
Did we?
I don't know.
Was that pre or post beard?
It had a beard,
okay.
But it was pretty.
Do you remember the awkward stage when you were growing it out?
Yeah, that was awkward.
But it happened, and that's that. Thank you guys for being interested. It's interesting to me that people would choose to come on a journey of terminal illness.
Yeah.
And I think what that says about the world is that everybody has hard stuff. Yeah. And so because of hard stuff, we can relate with each other. Whether it's relational or family or financial or health or whatever it is, we all have hard stuff. And so whatever hard stuff you're going through, we hope that we can be either a 10-minute break in your day so you can just kind of laugh, or maybe it's like a 10-minute break in your day so you can actually just think about your hard stuff and cry and maybe find hope, or whatever it is. Like we like the fact that we are like walking through life with people.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy to us when we think about it. And so thank you for choosing to invest in our story and letting us be a part of your story, and for tuning in each day. And thanks for watching us as we just kind of, we literally were like, what is something that we could talk about that we've learned or that we've experienced? And there are dangers, but there are incredible joys of being an advocate. So I think I was starting to say this. If you're someone who battles chronic illness or whatever it is, be an advocate. And that simply means telling your story.
I also wanted to say, this is a great reminder to me and to everybody in the whole world. When we see people in the grocery store and their child is screaming, or you see somebody having a rough day, or you see somebody online, and just don't make assumptions and try to think of the bigger picture and be like, that person's probably having a rough time today.
Yeah.
Instead of judging, like, try to view people with kindness and love. And so whether that's maybe you're watching one of our videos and you're like, well, why doesn't Mary do this or that? Like, try to think of it, try to zoom out and think of the big picture and be like, Mary probably already talked to her team and they probably said, whatever.
Like
really
there's a bigger story that's different than my story, and there's a lot that I don't know. And I think that's a good reminder of the dangers of social media, is that it makes the assumption that we know everyone's story, and we don't.
But we can share pieces of our story.
And there is great benefits to that. So
Thanks
for listening to us ramble about these things. If you like this video, or if you have other topics like related to this, leave a comment. Let us know what you might like to hear in another live stream. And if you're tuning in live today, thanks for hanging out. And if you're tuning in and watching the replay of this, thanks for listening and being part of the Frey life. And
as always,
always. Hey, Ollie.
Wait, he's here. Can we?
Yeah, we can move the computer.
Okay, we'll move the computer.
All right, guys. You get to say good night to the Bonesy boy.
Good night, Ollie boy. I wonder if it's in the camera.
I know. I should, look at the preview. Let's see.
But it's delayed anyway.
Oh, yeah. I think you guys can see him.
Hopefully you saw Ollie.
All right, guys. As always.
Good night.
Good night. Wait. We'll see you tomorrow.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Good
night.